almost to the day since we all had to close shop, March 16th. How's it going in New Orleans right now?
It's gnarly. It's tough. Um,
Are you at 50% occupancy?
we just got moved up to 75% occupancy. You know our spots. So, for us, we're more constricted by the 6 feet social distancing requirements than we are by the occupancy at this point. And also, you still can't sit at a bar. You can't eat at a bar. And, you've been to our spots too. The bar is kind of both the heart and the soul of all of our spots. Everything emanates from the bar. And so it's probably 30% of our capacity. It's probably 30% of our sales output. And that's not just beverages. That's people having meals at the bar. It's part of who we are. We design our restaurants to be places where single diners could pop in, or a couple from Boulder could pop in unannounced and feel completely at home. And when you don't have the bar, that's typically where that connection really forms most strongly. So that's been tough. And in New Orleans, they've been really rigid about their restrictions and regulations. Now, I'll say, as painful as it's been for us, I do appreciate the way New Orleans has approached it, because it was a really hard lockdown and it's a slow reopen. And as painful as it's been, I think that is more manageable than what people are experiencing in Europe and in parts of New York City, where, a lockdown, you open back up and then all of a sudden you got to lock back down again. And so I'd rather do it the way that we've been forced to do it here than to reopen too quickly and having to shut back down.
Brain damage. So I think that a lot of people don't understand, unless you live there, that New Orleans isn't really an enormous town with a huge base population of people, and you're 4.5, 5 million tourists a year. It really drives that town. Hotels are empty, no conventions, no conferences. How are you dealing with, and especially being bar focused? Were you able to take a swing at to go and carry out? How's that gone? What are you working on?
So to go and carry out hasn't been great for us. We design our spaces to be places that you want to physically sit in to enjoy. You want people to enjoy the music, enjoy the design, the photography. Everything we do is very intentionally curated to create an experience. And as much as I love Sylvain's chicken sandwich or Calvin's burger, they're just not as good when you get them at home as they are when you're sitting in that room, listening to that music, having that Sazerac. And so it wasn't really designed to be that. So we're doing a little bit of that, but that's not really helping us too much. What has helped us is we've always oriented our places to be neighborhood spots first and foremost. We certainly want visitors to the city to feel welcome, and we want them to experience a little bit of what it's like to live here by coming to our spots.
Right.
So we always do better when visitors are in town. But I think we've had enough of a core local base at all of our places that they've helped us and kind of carried us. And the other thing that's happened is, since bars are completely shut down, people are using our restaurants more as bars now. And so they're not drinking at the actual bar, but they're sitting at tables and having cocktails and having wine. And so our ratio of bar sales to food sales, for the first time, our beverage sales are outpacing our food sales.
Do you sell
Um,
to go?
we can now. We couldn't for a while. And that's something that hurt the quarter tremendously. So we have Mobar a long way in Sylvain, because part of the experience in the quarter, it's hard to get there. It's hard to park. It's kind of, and New Orleans has great restaurants in every neighborhood. So if you have to deal with all of the issues of getting to the quarter only to have a singular restaurant experience, I'm going to go to Sylvain, I'm going to have food and drinks, and then I'm going to have to shut it down. It's not worth the hassle. What makes the quarter magical is you go to Sylvain, you grab an old fashioned and a go cup, and you kind of walk down Royal Street and look in the galleries before you go pop into Brennan's bar and you grab a mudslide, an old fashioned from those guys, or you go, hopping around is part of what makes the quarter magical. And that hurt the quarter tremendously. We reintroduced go cups to go drinks about 3 weeks ago, and it's helped tremendously.
Yeah, they let us do that in Colorado. So third party delivery, Grubhub, DoorDash, you can't put booze on those orders, but we're doing self-delivery now. And man, you can really round out a check average and a guest experience when they call up for a big to-go order and you throw a bottle of wine in on the deal and you show up, and then we're self-delivering, taking hospitality all the way to the door, where you've got a server who you might recognize, or a cook who you've known, or a bartender actually shows up at the front door delivering your food. And we're like, hey, we threw this bottle in, or we shook some cocktails and put them in a crowler for you. And, it's just the little gifts and the surprises that you can deliver personally at the front door, as opposed to some DoorDash driver who really isn't connected or passionate about the brand. It's just another delivery. And so that has really helped a lot. But
That's good to hear. And that's going well for you guys?
it's going well. You know, the challenge is we have a couple fried chicken joints, so that's been super pandemic friendly. Go figure. But we have a couple fish houses called Jack's, higher check average, and to your point about certain foods that just aren't good 30 minutes later, you know, that food wasn't built to be put in a bag. We never promoted to go. The chicken concept from day one, we're like, eat it here or eat it at home. It's going to be just as good either way. That doesn't work with a nicer preparation, something that deserves to be put on a hot plate and served, you know, within minutes of it coming out of the pan or off the grill. So that's been challenging for us to figure out larger format. We have 14 restaurants, so there's 14 kitchens. We're kind of pushing in the next 30 days to have 28 concepts working out of 14 kitchens, and 14 of those will be kind of ghost delivery only type concepts. So
Smart.
just trying to drive that top line and figure out how to keep the revenue coming, half of it out the back door. But we kept 5 of our joints open throughout the entire. We never closed and just did a banging to go business. But many of them they didn't apply because it's just not food that people think about ordering for home consumption and home enjoyment. It's tough.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that though. And I'd love to pick your brain on that delivery model, but because I think that would be a cool thing for us. That's a nice wrinkle to add.
Figuring out, you know, is it lasagna? Is it, you know, big plays of enchiladas, big trays of enchiladas? Is it some kind of a taco kind of a kit? You know, all these home kits. We did a lot of pop-ups too, where we do bouillabaisse kits and chio kits and paella kits and risotto packages, and then pair them with a bunch of different wines or cocktails and give people 2 weeks to think about it, all on a pre-order system. So the deadline's on Wednesday, prepaid, pre-ordered, so you know exactly who's coming, when they're coming, pick up on a Saturday morning from 10 till noon. And, you know, we're out in front of the restaurant. We've got all these bags. We're able to meet the guests again, hand them this great food and this booze, and tell them to have a great night. Call us if you got any questions. We'll walk you through the preparation. So it's an interesting time. I did a conversation this morning with a woman here in town, Kendra Anderson, who owns this really sweet bar. And man, she's challenged right now. She's having a real tough time figuring out what the next pivot is, because that we have a curfew here of 11 o'clock. So for her, she starts to get busy at 9. It starts to happen at 10. By 11, she's rolling. Well, the curfew's 11. So it isn't just the 50% occupancy, it's the 65% reduction in operable hours for a good bar. You know, nobody's rolling into a bar at 7 o'clock at night. So,
Yeah, we have barrel proof, and I'm worried about bars. I mean, I think bars obviously will last, but I think this pandemic is going to create some behavioral shifts that will fundamentally affect the way bars work for the next couple of years at least. And so, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel as restaurateurs, but we were, the bar seemed so easy and simple compared to all the restaurants, and we were kind of thinking, man, maybe we just do more bars. And then as soon as COVID hit, it's like the value's all in the restaurants again.
yeah, you know, COVID won't be here forever.
No, no.